Hello everyone, I'm Rajesh and you are watching Learning with Rajesh YouTube channel. So dear students, we started lesson number 2 in history book of 8th class cbse, and the lesson name is From Trade to Territory. We started yesterday and we will complete it today. So in the previous video, we learned about how did East India Company enter India and what were the major problems faced by East India Company and then conflict between Nawabs of Bengal and East India Company. Today, we will learn about new policies by company. What were the new policies started by East India Company after the Battle of Buxar and after getting Diwani power? Now, company started a policy named as subsidiary alliance. Now, first point is who introduced this policy in India? What was the name of that governor who introduced this policy? Richard Wellesley started this policy in India. Now, I hope there will be a question in your mind, sir, what is included in that policy? So, what type of policy this is? According to the terms of the alliance, Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent army. According to this alliance, they were not allowed to have their independent army. They were to be protected by company's army. It means they were to be protected by company army for any purpose, for war purpose, and they had to pay for the army. For the British army, they have to pay money. If failed to pay, then the part of the territory was taken as penalty. I hope you learned about this subsidiary alliance now. So going to repeat that subsidiary alliance was started by Richard Wellesley, and according to this, Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent army, and then company will provide them army and they have to pay tax or rent for that army. If failed, their territory will be snatched. And the next main point, when company ruled over North India or in the Bengal or in the Middle India, it started to interfere in the social and political life of different rulers. It started to influence Mysore. Now we will read about the power or main background of Mysore. Tipu Sultan, the tiger of Mysore, we will learn today about Tipu Sultan. You know that Mysore had grown under the leadership of Haider Ali. Haider Ali was the main ruler of Mysore, and Mysore was in Karnataka at that time, and it's also in Karnataka nowadays. Mysore, the leader was Haider Ali, and then Tipu Sultan started to govern Mysore. What were the main problems between Tipu Sultan and Britisher? Why did they fight? British saw Haider and Tipu as ambitious, arrogant, and dangerous. That's why Britishers started fighting with Tipu Sultan and Haider Ali. Tipu stopped. They were fighting with Haider Ali and Tipu Sultan. So Tipu Sultan declared some points to stop or to fight with that Britisher. So what were the major points started by Tipu Sultan? Tipu stopped the export of sandalwood, peeper and cardamom through the ports of his area. And he also disallowed local merchants from trading with the company. With company here means Britisher company, East India Company. And he also established a relationship with the French. you learned in the previous video that there were many companies which entered in India for trade, like Dutch company and French company, Portuguese also were there, and that's why French were the enemies of Britishers, and Tipu joined or make good relationship with French to fight with Britishers. Four wars fought between Mysore and British, and these were also known as Anglo-Mysore War. Anglo-Mysore War. There were four major wars. There can be objective type question in the exam. How many wars were fought between Mysore and Britishers? At last, Tipu Sultan was killed defending his capital Seringapatam. So another objective type question will be in the exam. Name the capital of Tipu Sultan, and you will answer that Seringapatam is the capital of Tipu Sultan. He was killed by Britisher in 1799 while defending his capital Seringapatam. And next, Britisher started war or battle with Marathas. Maratha was also the major power in the south or southwest. Marathas were administered under Peshwa. There were many after the defeat in the third battle of Panipat in 1761. Marathas were ruled or divided under many confederacies, and the confederacies were ruled by one major principal officer named as Peshwa. I am going to repeat it now. There were confederacies, and confederacies were ruled by Peshwa, the principal ruler in Marathas. Peshwa was the principal ruler or principal minister, and the office of Peshwa was in Pune. And there were three wars between Marathas and British. So to enhance the area, to increase the area under the Britisher, they fought war with Marathas also. And there were three major wars between Marathas and Britisher. In 1782, 1803 to 1805, and 1817 to 1819. There were three major wars fought between Marathas and Britishers. Finally, Marathas were defeated and the Peshwa was removed, and they controlled the area of Marathas. In the next policy, you will learn about claim to Paramountcy. So another question will be in your mind, sir, what is the meaning or what was the claim of that Paramountcy here? Lord Hastings started this policy of Paramountcy. Now another question there, so what was the major policy in that Paramountcy? According to this policy, British were supreme power. They thought that Britishers were the major power or supreme power in India. They should control all over India for betterment. It means according to Paramountcy, they should control all over India for betterment. And this policy was challenged by Rani Chennamma in Kittur in Karnataka. Rani Chennamma challenged this policy that this is not a good policy. Why should we manage or why should we think that Britishers are the supreme power? That's why Rani Chennamma revolted this policy. And next policy was there, the doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse was also started by Britishers to control, to snatch India and to separate their area. It was introduced by Dalhousie. And according to this policy of lapse, If an Indian ruler died without male heir, the kingdom would be lapsed. As you learned this in a episode of Rani Jhansi on TV, that there was major problem about that here with Rani Lakshmi Bai, and that's why they snatched, or the Britishers snatched her area. An example also there, they snatched the area of Nagpur, Jhansi, Satara, Sambalpur, etc. according to this policy of doctrine. And two major points are also there. Sir, what were the major changes in administration by Britishers when they controlled the India and they separate their areas by different policies like subsidiary alliance and Paramountcy, and next doctrine of lapse? They started changing in administration. So now the main question will be in your mind, sir, what were the major changes in administration at that time? So first changes was presidencies were made like Bombay, Madras and Bengal for better administration, and you learned in the lesson that different ruling areas were known as presidencies, and the governor was the ruler of in these presidencies, but supreme head was governor general. And you learned in the lesson that Warren Hastings was the first governor general of India. And next major change is in administration was courts were established by Britishers, and these courts were controlled by different officials, firstly by collectors and then qazis. Qazis were under, or qazi here means judge, and there was judge, and judge were controlled by collectors. And as you learned in the lesson, collectors have their other works also. They also collected revenues from the nearby areas and the ruling area, and they have judgment power also. Next, Supreme Court was also set up at Calcutta for justice purpose. I hope you got this point of new administration, or means the changing in administration by Britishers. And the last major point of lesson is there was change in army system also in India, and that's why we have an heading the company army. So what were the major changes in the army at that time by the Britishers? Firstly, infantry regiments became important, and in the previous time, in the Marathas or in the Mughal time, there was cavalry army was important, but they have to fight outside India also. Britishers also fought with Burma and Nepal and that Afghanistan. That's why they needed infantry army, and that's why they increased the infantry regiment in the army. And next is modern weapons also provided like muskets and matchlocks to the soldiers. And they were also provided with European style training. Soldiers were trained in an European style. And next is in European style, and they also taught the lesson of discipline. So that's why discipline was also important at that time in army. And this led to revolt against British rule. And in 1857, you will read in this book in 8th class also about the revolt of 1857, because there was major problem of the soldiers. They started this revolt. I hope you got all the points of this lesson, and it was very easy for you to understand this lesson. I hope you got all the points of lesson. If you are new on my YouTube channel, please subscribe the channel, like and share also. Thank you and have a nice evening.